There's nothing like that first sip of coffee in the morning. Good morning, Santa Clarita. How are you? Have you had your first sip yet? Coffee loves you so much. There's nothing that says Happy Friday like that first sip of coffee. Well, welcome in. Welcome in. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. Eye on the Valley is brought to you, like I said, by SCVi and iLead Schools. We are a network of charter schools with campuses in Castaic, Agua Dulce, Lancaster. We've got a fully accredited online school. We've got a home study program that is just completely blowing up. It's called iLead Exploration. Tell you what, why don't you, while you're listening to the show, head on over to iLeadSchools.org. Take a look at all of our schools. We've got 6 schools here in the North LA County area for you to check out. Why so many schools? Well, because kids are different. They learn different. They need different things. And so we offer different things. Again, check us out at iLeadSchools.org. So yeah, we're keeping our eye on education here in Santa Clarita and across the nation. But like the show says, we like to keep our eye on the valley as well, bringing you everything that you need to know about what's what right here in the valley. And we do it while we try to bring a little smile to your face because, you know, if you're not giggling, you're doing it wrong. Gets me in trouble at funerals, but hey, you know what? I ain't worried about it. Alrighty, so you know, last week, Andrew, I started by singing Randy Newman, and so it's going to be even more beautiful this weekend. So what do you think? Maybe Mr. Rogers? It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It is absolutely a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's going to be an amazing weekend in the neighborhood right here in the valley. Going to be mid-80s, clear all weekend long. It's going to be a great weekend for Mom. You know what? Why don't you take Mom out to the beach this weekend? That'd be a great idea. Or maybe up to the mountains or the desert or a nice long drive. You know what? Whatever you do, just make sure you do it outside and you do it with Mom. Don't forget about Mom, y'all. This Sunday is Mother's Day. So yeah, I know there's probably somebody out there listening go, wait, what? That's this Sunday? Yeah. Don't wait for a last minute to get a gift. Do wait until the end of the show, and then you can go out and get that gift. You know what? All the best gift shops aren't open until 10 anyways. So you don't want to end up like Engineer Patty a couple of years ago. Remember Engineer Patty? Whatever happened to that guy? He dropped off the face. No, he did not. He did not. That young man is doing well. But you know what he did a couple of years ago? He waited last minute to buy a card for his mom for Mother's Day, and he ended up having to buy a card in Spanish, which is not a problem if your mom actually speaks Spanish. But Andrew, how you doing, brother? You got your mom a gift yet?
Doing great. Oh, yep, already ready to go. Right there, ready to go. Don't wait till last minute.
Man. No, do not wait till last minute and get the baby's breath and call them flowers. You know? Like, Mom, I got you something. Patty got his mom a Spanish language Mother's Day card. Does your mom speak Spanish, Andrew?
She does. Right, so it would have worked out both ways.
Would have worked out both ways. Not for Patty, though. So, geez. All right, cool. Well, we've got Mom taken care of. Let's take a look at what we've got going on Eye of the Valley this morning. In just a minute, we're going to meet Abbie Stirling with iLeadonline. Boy, I tell you, iLeadonline is just completely blowing up. It has become our fastest growing school in our network, and with great reason. I know. You are thinking, online school. Yeah, I just don't. No, iLeadonline is not your typical online school. You'll hear all about what I'm talking about. Just hang around. Wait a minute. You're going to meet Abbie. She's going to tell you all about the school, all about everything that she's doing with her high schoolers, and they do it with kids TK through 12th grade. Yeah, I said it. TK through 12th grade. Online school, they're absolutely thriving. They're killing it. The kids are succeeding. They're happy. They're successful. And that's all we want for our kids, right? So yeah. Just wait until we get to Abbie. She's going to tell you all about it. Then in hour number 2, we will talk to Andrew Skinner. Andrew, he was in here probably about a year ago, and he's just doing great things with Triumph Foundation. They are amazing, and they're helping out people in need. And just last weekend, they hosted a really, really cool event. We talked about it on the air, and we'll get a recap from him. They did the Wheelchair Sports Festival right here in Santa Clarita. So we're going to get to know Andrew and talk all about it. And yes, Big T will be here too. He's got some trivia for you and more fun and all kinds of goofing off at the end of the show. It's going to be great. So let's go ahead and do it. As I said, my first guest today is Abbie Stirling. Abbie is an academic coach for iLeadonline. She's been teaching elementary and middle school courses for over 10 years, and her favorite subjects are social studies and physical education. In college, Abbie studied cultural anthropology at the University of Massachusetts, Boston. Abbie began working with second grade in 2010 and has since taught fourth grade, all the grades, kindergarten through eighth grade physical education, and now online courses. She grew up in South Dakota, went to college in Boston, lived in New York City, then moved to LA in 2010. She has a passion for traveling, meeting new people, trying new types of food, and going on all kinds of adventures. Abbie, welcome to Eye on the Valley.
Hi, Matt. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Hey, we're so glad that you joined us this morning. So, Abbie, let's start with you. I talked about it. You've taught for over a decade now, but you found your way all over the country. But how did you find your way to iLeadonline? What brought you to our school?
Excellent question. So back in 2014, actually just about a decade ago, I was teaching ancient civilization, sixth grade in East LA, and I had met a new friend who is Miss Natalie Teichman, who teaches French and Spanish for iLeadonline, and she made her way to iLead up in the Valley and then online, and she told me a lot about a lot of the cool programs, the things that are happening with iLeadonline, the flexibility, the ability to mix and match classes. I'd never heard of an academic coach before, what that is, what her role is, and it really sparked my interest. And, of course, naturally getting a degree in cultural anthropology, I went and got my social science credential as well. And at that time, iLeadonline was looking for somebody to take some social science classes. And so I was put in contact with our director, Kate Wolf, and I took it from there. And now I've been teaching with iLeadonline on and off for almost 5 years.
Wow, has it been 5 years already? That is fantastic. So you're an academic coach. Can you tell our listeners what an academic coach is? What is your role as a coach at iLeadonline?
Yes, so I think that's an excellent question because I had the same question at first as well.
Right.
I often feel when I first meet, guardians or parents, I tell them I'm sort of like the third parent. I'm an academic coach is, it's like nothing I've ever seen at any other school before. You have somebody who you work with one-on-one who helps you with everything and anything from enrolling in your classes, getting you signed up for tutoring, also offering tutoring, making sure that, you're on track to achieve and go where you want to after school, after high school is over, depending on whether you want to go to a four-year university or a community college or a trade school, figuring out what classes are right for you. And also, I think the really cool thing about academic coaching is academic coaches have access to all of the students' work and what they're submitting. And so through that, you're able to also, lovingly guide your students towards things in areas that they shine in that maybe they would have otherwise not looked at. And so it is separate from teacher. Each class has their own live teacher who has live instructional hours that the kids can go to. But the coach is there, making sure that everything runs well and making sure that each student individually gets what they need.
I love that idea, Abbie. You called yourself kind of a third parent, and you're there to guide, each kid along. Now they've got all their different courses, right? They've got their English, math, science. But you just mentioned, that they've got their teachers as well. And I think that's one of the biggest things that surprises folks when they hear about our school. And so I want to go back and touch on that again. Your kids still have teachers for their classes because it's an online school. It's not, just curriculum that's online that they read, click, pass a test, and move on. These aren't like robot classes?
Yeah, excellent question, Matt. No, they're not robot classes, which is something that I think makes our online school special, especially in today's world where I know that, other things are popping up for online schools, but it is often graded now by, robots, by AI. And, you lose a personal touch in that. And then you also, you lose that one-on-one human connection. And so, yes, each of our classes are taught by a real person with a name, and those teachers go through and, they grade the work and they give really great and, constructive feedback, and they hold live office hours, twice a week, and everybody has phone numbers and emails, and, there's plenty of ways to contact and get a hold of teachers. And they're there to help as well as the academic coach. So you've got really a team of people as opposed to, like you said, just click submit. And if you've got questions, you're not waiting for days for answers.
Right. And that's something that when iLeadonline first opened up, it surprised not only me, but it also surprised my students. At the time, I was a high school principal. And it wasn't this, because I had plenty of experience with online courses where it was just that click test kind of thing. But behind iLeadonline isn't a teacher. It's a whole group of humans that are there to guide the kids along. One of the things that surprised me is the first student that I ever had that took a class in iLeadonline came back to me and said, I'm getting more personalized attention than I was in the classroom here on campus, which I thought was really cool. Now, Abbie, before we get into this project that you shared with your learners recently, we need to set the stage for our listeners. Can you explain kind of what the program looks like for your learners? Because you mentioned that each class is taught by humans, and therefore you can customize the education for your kids. But what is maybe a typical day, and what does the program look like for your learners?
Excellent question. So, in high school, kids have their core classes, that they have to take to graduate. And then they have a lot of flexibility around electives that they want to choose, or just like different options for gaining credits. And so, a typical day will look like a lot of students have a pacing plan, for example. And I guess I'm going to backtrack here. When students start with us, we kind of go over what would work best for the individual learner. We have a conversation about, do they work better in the morning? Do they work better in the afternoon? Talking to them and with their parents, kind of getting to know them individually and setting them up for success and saying, hey, okay, that you're more awake, more alert in the afternoon, early evening. So let's make that the time when you're going to focus on school. Or, if you're on a very competitive basketball team, maybe you have practice in the afternoons and in the evenings. So the mornings are going to be best for you. So first we have that conversation about the time of day. And then once we kind of set up the time of day that's going to work best for that learner, we come up with a plan. Some students were like, do you think it would be better if you're working on one class at a time? Or does it work better for you to do one class a day throughout the week? And based on that, on our conversations, we set up a pacing guide and we have a plan in place for that learner for when and how they're going to do their work. So, for example, I have a crew of boys who are on a competitive basketball team. And like I said, they have their practices in the afternoons and in the evenings, and their games mostly in the evenings. And so they all work, in the mornings. They do their work from about 8 a.m. till about 12:30 every day with a break in between. And what their days look like is they do one class a day, and then one day a week they have two classes. So they'll get up and they know every single Monday is math. And they're going to get up and they're going to access their curriculum online. If they run into any snags, they can email me. They can reach out to the teacher. They can text the teacher as well, text me as well. And then oftentimes as well, we like to set up their schedule. So, for example, if they do history on Tuesdays, Mr. Dyer, who is one of our fabulous history teachers, he holds live office hours. So they know that if they get hung up on something, they can pop into his Zooms, they can ask questions, and they can move from there. So, again, what's really special about iLeadonline is the fact that it does tailor to the individual. And that's something that I really respect and that I really love about the school. And that's kind of what a day would look like depending on who you are. Now, going back to some students, it's really confusing for them to, switch from class to class to class every day. So they'll work on one class for 3 weeks. They'll do their entire history class, and then after 3 weeks, they'll move on and they'll do their entire English class. So there is also a lot of individuality in how their days are set up, but we make sure to help them and set them up for success. And if something's not working, we revisit it and we come up with a new plan.
That is fascinating. So if I hear you correctly, kids can do kind of like what they would do in a traditional high school. They can work on math for an hour, then science for an hour, then history for an hour, then their foreign language for an hour. Or they can do just math on Mondays and knock out a whole slew of stuff and just do math every Monday. Or they can get a full, like a semester of math done if they're working on that full time for like 3 weeks, and then move on to English and just focus on English for 3 weeks and do that each semester?
Yes, exactly. So there's a lot of different ways to work with the learners and with the families, depending on what their schedule is, depending on, how the learners learn best. And I do also want to highlight the fact that I think a lot of our students, when they come to us, they don't really know how they learn best, right? Because they've never been given an opportunity to sort of explore that. And so it's really fun at the beginning having those conversations and figuring out, and that also helps the learner get to know themselves even better as well.
Yeah. Now, Abbie, besides being an academic coach, you also teach an advisory class, and you do some really cool things in that advisory class. I want to talk all about it, but we do need to take a quick break. Abbie Stirling is an academic coach with iLeadonline, and she recently covered this really cool project with her high schoolers. I want to tell you, I'm going to let Abbie tell you all about it when we get back from the break. iLeadonline is a fully accredited, and check this out, free online charter school. That's right, it is free. They are a public school. We'll talk more about it when we get back. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVi, and I lead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi, and I lead Schools Eye on the Valley. I'm joined this morning by academic coach with iLeadonline, Abbie Stirling. We were talking about just kind of the basics of iLeadonline, and I want to remind you that as a charter school, we are a free public school. And so, your kid can get a fully accredited public education experience online. And Abbie was mentioning that the school really is perfect for kids who dedicate a lot of time to sports or entertainment. There's a lot of actors and entrepreneurs. And then there's also quite a few students at iLeadonline that just work best from home, and where they can stay focused and concentrate. And you know what? We're going to continue to talk more about it with Abbie. Abbie, you were talking about how your kids take their classes and how everything is fully customizable, but still with that human interaction. And one of the things that you do is you teach an advisory class. And so before we get into this project that you worked on with your students, I want to ask you about advisory. What is advisory? Can you tell us kind of what you do and what the idea behind advisory is?
Yeah, definitely. So advisory, I've heard it described as homeroom. In an in-person school setting, students have a homeroom classroom that they go into. It's where their attendance is taken, where they touch base with the teacher about, their mental and physical well-being. I've also heard, advisory sort of described as, it's your home base, it's your home plate, like in the game of high school. Advisory is really the catch-all class, and so it happens live once a week, and it is with your academic coach, which would be, someone like me or someone in the same role as me, and you get on the Zoom, and there's different topics that we explore weekly. We touch base, we have a lot of fun. We talk about how we're doing, what we've been up to. And then, each week we look at a new topic. My units are broken down into months. So every month we have a different unit that we're focusing on and we're looking at. And so that can include things like, the iLead learner outcomes. So we talked a lot about those last fall, and then this spring we're interweaving those into topics that seem appropriate for every single month. And so in April with Earth Day, and as a huge lover of the outdoors and Mother Nature, we focused on Earth for the month of April. And just like I said, again, interweaving and blending in a lot of those learner outcomes. But I will say that overall advisory it's a great class that's live every week with your academic coach, where you're exploring different topics and you're asking questions and you're getting the help that you need in real time.
Well, very cool. So there's that personal connection. So kids are studying online, and you mentioned they can take their classes when and how they'd like, but then there's that once a week check-in where they're with you and they're with their classmates and they're making that human connection. So you talked about how last month you focused on Earth, and I'm assuming it's in conjunction with that. You recently had a guest speaker come in. Can you talk to our listeners about who you invited into your advisory class and what they talked about?
Yeah, 100%. So for our Earth April month, we were, just exploring and looking at, again, like the learner outcomes. And I really wanted to bring in a scientist, somebody who represented and defined, a lifelong learner and who also is a design thinker. A lot of times when I think about a design thinker, I often think about scientists immediately, honestly, comes straight to my brain.
Okay.
And so I was paired with a scientist from UC Santa Cruz named Sarah Nilsson, and she is a glacier and Antarctic scientist. Oh, wow. She has gone to Antarctica 4 times and also spent a lot of time in Alaska studying glaciers. And she came and joined our advisory for an entire hour. And it was so cool, Matt. The kids really loved it. And so did I.
Wow. So what was it So she studies glaciers and Antarctica. What is it that she talked about with your kids?
So she talked a lot about the research that she's doing and what her experiences were like in Antarctica. So she put together a really cool slideshow and really connected with the kids, by showing visuals and explaining, how desolate Antarctica really is and how when she's out on the field, they're completely self-reliant. And the kids were looking at these photos and asking really cool questions like, wait, where do you eat? What do you eat? Do you go to the bathroom? Can you shower? And, the answer is no, they don't shower. And one of the tents is their kitchen, and that's where they eat. And she was saying that they eat actually anything that's, that's frozen that you can thaw out. So there's a wide variety of food that they can eat. And she talked about, one of our learners had a question where they're like, have you ever been in any scary situations? And she was like, yeah, big storms can roll across Antarctica, with wind gusts of over 100 miles an hour. Oh, wow. And they've got to get out of there and get out of there fast. So she talked about having to think on her toes quickly and navigating that space where, your heart rate is up and you feel nervous and, you don't know what's going to happen, but you take your breath and you take one step at a time. With her research, which was really awesome too, what she talked about is down in Antarctica, I did not know this. So Antarctica is bigger than the size of the continental United States. Okay. That's something that we all learned. A lot of my students didn't know that either. And underneath Antarctica, there is a giant body of water that is not frozen, way deep below the ice. And so in her research, they were digging all the way down underneath there, and then they were, polling to see if there's living life, if there are microorganisms living in that body of water. And it turns out there are. Oh, wow. And yeah, I know. Who would have thought? I had no idea. None of our kids did either. And the reason that she talked about the importance of this is because, for example, there's a couple of moons in our galaxy, one of them being a moon that rotates around Saturn that has a similar structure and makeup to Antarctica. And although it's frozen, we know that it has water underneath it that is not frozen. And so because they were able to prove that there are living microorganisms underneath Antarctica, they're thinking there probably is as well on some of the moons in our galaxy that represent and look a lot like Antarctica, which was fascinating.
Yeah.
And it sparked such an interesting conversation among my students. So yeah, it was so much fun, and it was so cool. And I will say to, sort of wrap that all up, Matt, is that our learners, I think a lot of them had never, they never really put much thought into glaciers. A lot of people don't, right? And so this was an opportunity for them to explore something brand new that maybe they had never even given a second thought. And, my students did projects based on this, and I'm receiving these projects and I'm looking at them and I'm going through them, and everyone seems to have this new sparked interest in like wanting to see a glacier in their life and like what it actually is and how impactful they really are. I mean, we've had huge conversations about how the glaciers are what carved Yosemite Valley, for example, which is an area that a lot of students can relate to or at least have seen in photos.
Sure.
So the whole conversation around it really sparked a much greater, interest and passion, which was really amazing. And I loved it.
So you talked about how your kids ended up doing some projects around that. So was this part of your students' curriculum? Was this, what course is this part of? What made you decide to bring this into your advisory class?
Excellent question. So the reason that it made me, it's a part of, the curriculum in my personal advisory class. And the reason that I chose to bring it in specifically is because, as we mentioned, we were focusing on planet Earth for April. And I often find that a lot of times, the focus on the Earth can be, it can be sad. It can be depressing. And I think currently right now, my job as an educator is to spark curiosity and interest and joy. And so I just kind of went through, the topics that I'm interested in and what I'm passionate about when it comes to the planet that we call home. And one of them is glaciers. I've spent a lot of time in Patagonia. I studied abroad in Patagonia when I was in college for a year. And that's where I fell in love with glaciers. And I've spent a lot of time going back there, and I've gotten my certification to cross glaciers, and I've just found them to be one of the most special things that our planet holds. And so that's how I brought it into the curriculum for my advisory class, because I was thinking of topics that would hopefully spark joy and interest, and I think this one really did.
So, that was what I was going to ask, is how did your kids respond? It kind of sparked the same passion that you've had for years?
100%. It was fascinating. So one of their projects when we got done with this was to, do some research. I gave them areas in the world that have glaciers like Scandinavia, Alaska, Patagonia, Antarctica. And they could choose any of those regions and then sort of just do some research on their own about the glaciers that are in that region. What sparks their interest if they were interested, if they want to see a glacier someday, and then just talking about like the science behind how glaciers formed and what their impact is on our planet. And for, opportunities for this project, they could, if some of my students, they love to write, so they could write. Other students wrote a poem. Some of my students submitted a PowerPoint presentation. Other ones created a travel brochure for, going to see glaciers in Norway, for example. Through this as well, I found out, Matt, that some of my kids have seen glaciers before, and it was deeply impactful and powerful. And then as I was receiving these projects, I learned from a lot of kids, that they were like, wow, exactly what I had said earlier. They're like, I've never really given glaciers much thought, but I realized like these are very precious, beautiful things that are still on our planet, and I would love the opportunity to go see one someday. And so, that's what they were able to do to showcase their learning. And then they really, I asked them to bring it into their learner outcomes as well, and just talk a lot about like how the scientists who came and spoke and who my kids were able to interview, like what kind of risks she took and what solutions she came up with, and blend that all together in one project.
That is so exciting. Now, Abbie, you've mentioned the iLead learner outcomes several times, and I just want to let our listeners know that iLead is actually, and it's an acronym, and LEAD stands for, and those are our learner outcomes, that we're building our students to be lifelong learners, empathetic citizens, authentic individuals, and design thinkers. And so Abbie brought in this expert on glaciers to talk to her advisory class, who really exemplified a design thinker and a lifelong learner. Abbie, is this the first time you've had a guest speaker in your advisory class, or is this something you do all the time?
That's an excellent question, Matt. So this is the second time I've had a guest speaker in my advisory class this year. However, we do joint advisories. So all the advisory classes this year, we've been doing one joint advisory class a month, where the whole school gets together with all of the academic coaches. And we've also had guest speakers in that. And we're definitely planning on, and we will be continuing this next year. And so that's really fun as well, because when you bring everybody together, our networks are much bigger. And so we've had different guest speakers for careers, because we want our students to be thinking about like the type of careers that they want. And so we bring different guest speakers in to talk about what they do actually at the job and on the job, and students are allowed to ask questions. So I have had guest speakers before, both individually and also in our joint advisories.
So that is just really drilling down on the concept of synergy. And Abbie, you mentioned projects. I know that most of our schools, well, all of our schools in the iLead network, work on a project-based learning format. But being an online school can be very different. Are your students able to still develop projects? Are they able to get involved in project-based learning in an online school?
100%. I think that is one of the areas that iLeadonline really shines in, and something that is really fun and exceptional as well for me as an educator, because we know, like you had said, at the beginning of this radio show, everybody learns different and everybody expresses themselves differently. And so there are plenty of opportunities in every single class across the board for project-based learning. A lot of times when students are, asked to turn in and do an assignment, it's not just one way. There's multiple options, tons of different options for how you want that assignment to be turned in and what you want to do for it. And like I said, it can be anything, like in our history classes or English, it can be anything from writing to submitting a PowerPoint to doing a PSA, to doing a brochure. There's lots of project-based learning opportunities. Even in the past, I taught a class where, a mock trial class with iLeadonline, where learners were able to, at the end, take the stance of a prosecutor or defender. And I had a student once who built an entire courtroom out of Legos. And in his video, he presented his case as a prosecutor to the Legos. So there's a lot of different opportunities for project-based learning with iLeadonline.
That's funny. I've sat on a couple of juries before that resemble Legos. That's that's really funny. So besides project-based learning, you all also have quite a few what are called career and technical education pathways. And this is where I found this fascinating. I taught for several years in South America where kids were majoring in certain things. And I thought, what a fascinating idea for kids to get prepared for their career in high school and not wait for college. That's what your career pathways are doing. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works at iLeadonline? What career pathways do you have?
Yeah, excellent. So this is, I really, really appreciate and love, we call them our CTE, our career and technical education pathways. There's an opportunity. So in high school, students have to get a certain amount of credits to graduate high school. Sure. And there's oftentimes in high school settings, there's tons of electives in order to get that elective credit. But what makes iLeadonline very unique is if a student has an interest, let's say, for example, in arts or media and entertainment, that's one of our CTE pathways. We also have a business and finance, education, family services, health sciences, sports medicine. They're able to take electives specifically geared towards one of those pathways that is going to get them a CTE certificate and help them kind of focus in on what they're interested in. And so, like I said, some of those, in arts and media and entertainment, we have animation, which I have a student right now on the CTE animation pathway, and she's loving it. She makes storyboards and she does digital animation and art. We also have, game design, and I have another student who's doing photography who wants to be a photographer and own her own business. And so she's taking classes like entrepreneurship and consumer math, which is helping her understand how to actually run a business along with her photography classes, and journalism and theater arts, video production, finance and accounting, and patient care. And again, like sports medicine. So each of these have specific classes that the students take for their electives. So, they're kind of funneling their energy and guiding themselves in a specific direction towards a pathway that they're interested in that may possibly turn into a career.
And what I love about it is they're doing it when they're so young. So if they start down a particular pathway and discover that they hate it, they can switch gears with very little wasted time or money. I have a friend who studied interior design, went all the way through college, got her degree, and then discovered that she hated it. And, that it really took a lot to change gears, but they're doing it early enough that they can do that. Now, you've also got a very interesting, it's a calendar at iLeadonline. I'm talking about Track C. For those that are looking for something over the summer, can you talk about what Track C is and how students utilize Track C to continue to customize their education?
Yeah, so Track C it's a summer classes, and so it always starts the first week of July, and it goes until the third or fourth week in August. And so Track C allows learners to just get ahead of their fall and spring semester, or if they need to make up credits, or they want to take a class again for a higher grade. Track C is there for that. And what they do is they'll take that class for July and August. And for example, a perfect example of this, Matt, would be I have a learner who struggles in English. And so taking English alongside of all of their other classes can be really tough. So they prefer to take their English class in the summer when it's the only class that they have to focus on. And that way it's knocked out for the fall and the spring semester, and then they can do all of the other things. So Track C is our summer school classes. And again, it starts at the beginning of August. And it's really fun for a lot of different learners, or some learners just like to take an elective over the summer. I mean, there's so many different classes to choose from, and there's a lot of opportunity depending on what a learner's looking for.
And this is not something that's just for high schoolers, right? I mentioned that you're a TK through 12th grade school. And so I know that there are parents who don't want their third grader to experience what we call learning loss. That you get that summer dip. And so they enroll their kids in Track C and they do what are called adventure courses. And they have these really cool adventure boxes where they get, all these materials and things like that. But so is Track C, it's not just for the full-time iLeadonline learners. You have kids coming in from other schools just for that summer period too, don't you?
Yeah, we do. We definitely do. And we're always happy to take other learners. And we have plenty of opportunities for, TK all the way up to 12th grade.
Wow, that is fantastic. And so you have kids come in that attend other schools. They take a class or two in the summertime through Track C, and then they go back to their home school afterwards. That is exciting. So if folks are interested, Abbie, in whether it's just Track C for the summer or they're excited and want to enroll their kids full time, where can they go to either enroll or get more information?
The best place is going to be iLeadonline.org. That is our website, and there is plenty of information on there. We have virtual info sessions on there. They can sign up for classes. They can register on there. So I would say the best place to go to is our website. And, they can, they can click the registration form, or they can take a virtual tour, and they can also fill out an application right on our website at iLeadonline.org.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm looking at your website now. You guys have 3 information sessions still left this month, and they're very convenient because, like everything in your school, it's online. During those information sessions, I oftentimes see families together having dinner while they're attending our virtual information sessions. And I'm going to give our listeners a little bit of a secret, a little bit of a cheat code. If you're even remotely interested, I would encourage you because, as I said at the beginning of the show, iLeadOnline is our fastest growing school. We're getting applications coming in every day. Get online, fill out the application now. We're a free public charter school, so there's no deposit required. Fill out the application now, then sign up for one of those virtual information nights and come learn more about the school. There's no commitment. And then once you do get offered a seat, I'm doing the air quotes. Can you see me, Abbie? A virtual seat at our school. If you decide that it's not for you, then you don't have to stick around. But fill out the application first, then go to the information night and see if this is the right thing for your learner. Abbie, I do need to get moving, but thanks again for joining me. Again, if you're interested in enrolling your child, just head on over to iLeadOnline.org. We'll be right back. I am Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. We just heard from Abbie Stirling from iLeadOnline. Again, if you're interested in iLeadOnline, check them out at iLeadOnline.org. If you just tuned in, no, this is not your typical online school. Abbie talked all about the full wraparound supports, the human connection, the interacting with peers, the project-based learning, combined with the full customization of an online school. So again, check them out at iLeadOnline.org. We've got a lot coming up for you. Mother's Day is coming up this weekend. Yep. I hope I didn't catch you by surprise. I hope you're prepared. Make sure that you're spoiling mom this weekend. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Andrew Skinner from Triumph Foundation. If you're not familiar with Triumph Foundation, they're doing amazing things for people in need. We'll get to that when we come back. I am Matt Watson, and like I said, you are listening to SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. I am Matt Watson, your host, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. My next guest this morning is Andrew Skinner. Andrew is a local guy, a graduate of Canyon High School in Cal State Channel Islands, earning his degree in business administration. With a background in sales and marketing, project management, real estate investment, and as a small business owner, Andrew was well on his way to corporate success, but an accident in 2004 would forever change his life, and he has set his passion and brilliance to a higher cause. He is now the founder and executive director of the Triumph Foundation. Do you know the Triumph Foundation? Well, you need to, but you're in luck. You're going to get to know them this morning. Andrew, welcome back to Eye on the Valley.
Hey, Matt, thanks for having me. It's awesome to be here.
It's great to have you. You've got great energy, and so we love having you in. You're also doing some amazing things in and for our community. So let's start just by explaining. I told folks that they need to get to know Triumph Foundation. Tell us what Triumph Foundation is.
Yeah, so Triumph Foundation is a nonprofit organization. It's based here in Santa Clarita, and we serve children, adults, and veterans that suffer a catastrophic injury or illness or disease that leaves them with mobility impairments. And so we visit hospitals all over Southern California, trying to bring resources and hope to people that acquire a disability, and try to lead them to finding a new pathway and just transitioning and adapting to the new normal.
The new normal, yeah, beautiful and very important mission that you all have, because it can be a devastating occurrence, both physically but then emotionally, psychologically as well. And Andrew, I know you know all about that. I alluded to it in your intro. You've got a pretty remarkable story of your own that led you to founding Triumph Foundation. Can you share your story with our listeners?
Yeah, so I got injured in 2004. I was fresh out of college. I'd landed a great job. I'd met the girl of my dreams, Kirsten, and I was on top of the world. And we had went up to Lake Arrowhead to celebrate Thanksgiving with my family. We had a cabin up there, and it was a winter wonderland. And I had spent the days playing in the snow, building snowmen, having snowball fights, and sledding and snowboarding. And so the day after Thanksgiving, November 26th of 2004, I was goofing off on my snowboard with my cousin, and I went off a little jump and fell on my butt and back, but I broke my 4th, 5th, and 6th cervical vertebrae in my neck and was paralyzed instantly from the neck down, and obviously my life was shattered. Devastating.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. And it sounds like it was just kind of routine, right? Because I'm a skier, not a snowboarder, and I see, the snowboarders, all the time. That's the idea. Is you get up there, go off a jump, things like that. Is that what it was? This wasn't this extreme jumping off a cliff kind of thing?
Exactly right. Yeah, Matt. I mean, I wish I had a story to brag on a little bit more. I wasn't jumping off a roof or doing backflips or going big. I honestly, we have a video of the jump that I did right before the one that I got hurt doing. But I just fell on my butt and back and went off this little kind of kicker that we had made. Yeah. And no one thought anything of it. But when I told them that I couldn't move anything, obviously that set off some alarms, and they called for emergency services, and they helicoptered me down to the nearest hospital and reconstructed my neck, and a whole new chapter of my life began.
Oh my gosh. So how soon did you know that something major was happening in your life? Was it immediate, or did it take a while?
Well, I never really knew what a spinal cord injury was. I mean, obviously I heard of Christopher Reeve and had some idea, but certainly when I was lying in their snow, unable to move, I thought I would just wake up and shake it off any second. But obviously that didn't happen, and I had to begin a process of just recovery. And like you kind of alluded to, it's not just physical, but also, mental, emotional, and coming to terms with this is something I'm going to have to live with.
Yeah. And so, this is something that you live with, but it's also something that you work supporting others through. Really, really beautiful story, turning your own tragedy into beauty and triumph for others. So as a way of letting our listeners understand what your clients are going through, talk to us a little bit about your process along the way. I'm assuming you went through that grief period, the frustration. You mentioned that you just finished college and you had everything laid out ahead of you. What was your mental state going through that process?
Well, I mean, in the beginning, I went through all those stages of grieving, from just sadness and depression and anger and all those, feelings that you go through. And I think that's normal, and I think it's healthy. But I was very fortunate that I had a family that was there for me, shoulder to cry on, punching bag at times, that were there for me throughout the entire process. But I was also fortunate that people had gotten injured before me, came and visited me in the hospital. It gave me hope. And gave me a lot of resources and tools, and just kind of showed me what was possible. And so that really inspired me a lot. And after I got hurt, I spent the first few years just focusing on myself. And about 4 or 5 years after I got injured, after I got back to work, I put a ring on Kirsten's finger and got married, and kind of had a semblance of triumphing over my own personal circumstances. I've always felt kind of called to serve and help other people in the same situation I was in, because I knew how much it meant when people had done that for me. And so that sense of paying it forward is really what Triumph's all about, and showing people there's this is a detour in their life and not a roadblock, and helping empower them with resilience.
I love that. So I can imagine that as you get this idea to start supporting others and turn it into a foundation, you're your business education and background really came into handy. Am I right? Was that helpful in getting?
Yeah, it's
started?
very lucky that I had a degree and some education that I could fall back on, that I could utilize, and kind of had some sense in how start a business. And so I tell a lot of people, I don't have a Daddy Warbucks or somebody that kind of guided me along this process. I'm just a regular guy that wanted to do something to impact the community and had an idea. And so I started the organization myself, filled out all the paperwork. And if there's anybody listening that might be thinking that they want to fill in some gaps in the community, they can do it. You don't have to be an attorney or have some certain certifications, this and that. You just have to have a heart to serve. And ultimately, I created something that I never dreamed was going to be my purpose in life. When I started the organization, I just thought it was something I'd do part-time when I had time. And it's really become a monster, for lack of better terms. Triumphs everywhere, and it's grown way beyond just me. We have rock star ambassadors that are visiting people in the hospitals that are doing the real work for the organization, and a lot of amazing volunteers, and just really created a movement.
I was looking at your website, and you guys, you've got quite a team, and your services are pretty expansive. You're not just focusing on a couple dozen people here in the Santa Cruz Valley, are you?
No, so Triumph Foundation's outreach stretches really from Central Coast now, down to San Diego, to the Inland Empire, and to the beaches, and we basically meet people where they're at. And even with the pandemic, one of the blessings in disguise was, things moved into the virtual realm, and that made it so we can even support people beyond our state. And we're touching people that live across the country, and just trying to provide advice and encouragement. And then Triumph also has a grant program, so people that have inadequate health insurance and financial hardship, we're able to help them acquire, different items and services that help offset some of the financial burdens. Yeah,
and I love that you're meeting people where they're at, geographically and metaphorically, where they're at. So tell us about some of those specific services that Triumph Foundation does provide.
Yeah, so the main program that we have is the newly injured support. Like I said, we focus on people with spinal cord injuries, specialize in that, just because that's what happened to me. But as we've grown, we're meeting people with all sorts of different diagnoses, whether it's spina bifida, something you're born with, or MS sometimes, people that are dealing with limb loss, amputees, people that just have journeys that lead to a mobility impairment. And then, that's kind of the heart. We bring in these care packs that are full of resources that we've put together. We have a really awesome guidebook that we've accumulated over the years of just information that we wish someone would have told me about when I first got hurt. And so we're meeting around 200 or 300 people every year. And our mission is the same every year, which is we want to meet every single newly injured person in Southern California. And the sad truth of it, Matt, is that we fall short every year. We know there's people out there that slip through the cracks, that didn't get a visit from me or one of our ambassadors, and that breaks our heart. So we really want to make sure that people don't live isolated and despair, and don't know that there's programs out there to help them. And so that's kind of the cornerstone of what we do. And then, like I said, we have a grant program helping people with financial things. And then we repurpose equipment. And so helping people that have old wheelchairs or durable medical goods find a home for them and get them out of people's garages, collecting dust, and into someone's life that's going to make a difference. And then last but not least, we do lots of sports and recreational events, which we'll talk about.
Very cool. Yeah. I wanna get into the event that you recently had, and then you've also got some events coming up. But providing for a lot of that physical care, and do you do like counseling, coaching, things like that? Because I can imagine that folks require a lot of the emotional support as well.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, it's informal counseling. Our ambassadors are trained.
I see.
So they do go through some training that's led by some psychologists and some experts and social workers and things like that. But ultimately, it's regular people that had something bad happen to them too. And they're just trying to provide, practical information. Hey, I could do it, you can do it too. Information.
Sure.
And then certainly people that need more professional help, we have referrals and things like that, so they can tap into that. But ultimately, there's just so many questions. And the sad truth of the matter is people are getting discharged to the hospital within a couple weeks or a month, and they haven't even wrapped their mind around the fact that this is something that they're going to have to live with and deal with long term.
Yeah.
And they're being sent home and they're lost. They're completely lost. They don't know where to go. And so we joke that, in the hospital, you have that nurse call light button that you can hit at any time.
All right,
and
yeah.
someone comes running. Well, they don't let you take that home with you. And so Triumph kind of becomes that nurse call light button.
All right.
And,
All right.
the person or their families have questions,
Mhm.
they can contact us. They can get connected. We run support groups all over the place. And so people can find a place where they can get answers. And our joke is, if information's your drug, we're your dealer. And so
Nice.
they can come to us and we'll help them find the best, places to get help.
Yeah, because I can imagine that, especially when someone gets discharged from the hospital with a traumatic injury like this, the spiral downward can really ramp up quickly, and your job is kind of to reverse that flow and help them spiral upward. You've got quite a model that you utilize. Can you tell our listeners about the circle of care?
Yeah, so it's a holistic approach to helping people throughout their journey from, the initial shock of I'm now living with a disability. What do I do? Where can I get help? And again, that's kind of the heart of what we do. And then kind of helping people, again, acquire necessary things through our grant program and our equipment repurposing program, or our exchange is what we call it. And so people can have the necessary items that'll enable them to be independent, whether it's a ramp for their front door or a proper mobility device or hand controls in their car or other services that they might need. And then transitioning to just getting them out of the house and doing something. So again, we have the support groups, but we also do a lot of activities and the sports and recreation. And we're big on helping people get back to work.
Okay.
And so, getting people with their vocational goals and doing some counseling on that matter. And then we also do an award. So people that maybe need some investment capital to start a business or to return to their old job, and they need some type of equipment or device or something along those lines. They want to start an LLC, whatever it might be. We'll actually invest some capital into their ideas. And so that award opens up 2 or 3 times a year, and it's about $5,000. And we've helped people start everything from a counseling business, doing some, mental health support, to helping people get their notary license so they can, have a career doing that and working with real estate. We even helped a friend start a business called Accessible Festivals. And so now they work with Coachella and Stagecoach and all these big trade show or concert shows. And they install all the ADA infrastructure and make sure that they have, the best experience they can possibly have. And so huge unemployment, because ultimately a lot of people find their identity through their career and what they do for a living. And then kind of the fifth and final piece is just creating an inclusive community where everyone feels like they belong. And at the end of the day, we don't care who you are, where you came from. We want to welcome you into our Triumph family. And ultimately just create an atmosphere where, whether you have a disability or not, that you have a purpose and that you are valued, and trying to instill that not only in our little circle of Triumph Foundation, but beyond in the entire community, and then paying it forward and kind of going back around that circle and people helping other people that, face similar challenges, and just embracing people wherever life might find them.
I love that. You mentioned something kind of interesting. I think until folks start to look at the world through your lens or the lens of someone who's had a traumatic spinal cord injury, you don't realize all the different challenges. My dad started having some mobility issues recently, and the first thing I thought was, thank God they're in a single story home, but I didn't realize how many steps up and down there are, on that single floor. So what are some of the other unknowns or the surprises that folks dealing with spinal cord injury may be facing that your team at Triumph Foundation helps your clients with?
Yeah, I mean, look, no one plans ahead for something like this to happen to them. So
That's a good
basically,
point.
everybody's overwhelmed with the whole situation. And same thing with, someone having a child and their child is born with, some sort of impairment or struggle. They're in the same kind of realm, and they're looking around and going, now what do I do? And so we want to be there for everyone. And so even your dad, if you guys need help with stuff like that, obviously I'm open to consulting and talking to people. You'd be surprised the different phone calls that we receive every day. They may not have had a quote unquote spinal cord injury, but they're dealing with a challenge. And ultimately we want to try to help solve problems. That's what I pride myself on, is helping people find a way to move forward. And, there's all sorts of struggles. Like you mentioned, the homes, accessibility. A lot of people think, I don't have any steps in my house. And then they get home and they find out that they have a 3 or 4 inch little threshold in front of their door. And,
Right.
And that might as well be Mount Everest for somebody. It's,
Sure.
I can't get through that in my wheelchair or stepping over that step. And, helping people, all right, this is some solutions that you might think about and consider, whether it's building a ramp or purchasing a prefabricated one, or sometimes a stupid little welcome mat that you put in front will raise that little bump up halfway through, and then you can bump up through it.
Yeah.
From home modifications to just realizing that, yes, you can still work. Yes, you can still drive. Yes, you still can play sports. All these different things that people think they lost are still attainable, but you might just have to do a little bit differently. And so all of our resources, are open for anyone. They're on our website. We have a wonderful guidebook, like I mentioned, that it covers everything from, where to get continued exercise, because I believe that exercise is medicine, and that's just not for my community, but for everyone.
All right.
Not just physical, but also emotional and mental, and but also with finding a caregiver. Hey, I need someone to help me around the house. How do I get somebody? And so we have a bunch of referrals for that, vehicles, on and on and on.
Yeah, that's you talked about sports, athletics. You had an amazing event this last weekend I want to talk about. We're going to take a quick break. We're talking this morning with Andrew Skinner, founder and executive director of the Triumph Foundation. They're doing great work to support folks who really need it. We'll talk about some people who he's been helping who could use their support too. Right after this, I am Matt Watson, and you're listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.
There is only one language spoken at Thai Dish, and it sounds something like this.
This is great.
Once people get a taste of Thai dishes, there's really no reason to do any more talking. Make it full of flavor, make it delicious, only at Thai Dishes. Enjoy the atmosphere, love the food. Thai Dishes on Valencia Boulevard for free delivery, 253 Food. That's 253 FOOD.
KHTS strives to give the Santa Clarita Valley all the information they need, and when our computers aren't working the way they should, we call Resurgence, your true source for IT. Resurgence provides outstanding customer service while also providing the highest technical ability. They strive to do what's best to improve and protect your business. For more information on Resurgence, call 349-4114 or visit resurgenceit.com.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and I'm joined this morning by Andrew Skinner, founder and executive director at the Triumph Foundation. And we were talking before the break, if you're just joining us, Andrew in 2004 suffered a traumatic spinal cord injury that just completely changed the course of his life, but he's helping folks in similar situations change the course of their lives and get back on track, and such an important service. And Andrew, just this last weekend, you hosted a wonderful event. We were talking about it on the show, and can you tell us about the Wheelchair Sports Festival? What did you guys do last weekend?
Yeah, it was awesome, Matt. We had this is our 11th year doing our Wheelchair Sports Festival. We've been partnering with the city of Santa Clarita, host it every year. And it's 2 days long. It's the last weekend of April every year. And basically it's 15 different sports and activities that anyone's welcome to come out and join in the fun. We had awesome turnout both days, close to 500 each day.
Wow.
And people of all abilities were welcome to participate. And we did everything from wheelchair basketball, wheelchair tennis, to hockey, rugby, which is my favorite sport, which is like bumper cars and wheelchairs. It used to be called murder ball, but now it's a Paralympic sport, so they had to change the name to that. Some highlights for me too were fencing. We did scuba diving, archery, baseball. Some new games that we introduced this year was wheelchair football. So there's a couple wheelchair football teams now.
All right.
There's the Rams team, and now the Chargers have a team. So they're out there
Cool.
trying to recruit some athletes to join the team. And we did a sport called power soccer, which is really cool. It's a sport played for our friends that use power wheelchairs, and the wheelchairs are super hyped up, fast machines, and then they have almost like a cage or a battering ram in front, and these men and women that play these games hit a ball that's probably about 20 inches in diameter by bumping their wheelchair into it and then spinning to kick it. And it was so much fun. I actually participated in that one.
Okay.
And then we also did art and music. We had a drum circle there and some other things for people that wanted to find maybe their creative side, dance, which is obviously fun. It's my daughter's favorite. So it was awesome, man. We had so many different people come out, that had come before. But most importantly to me, Matt, is we had new people come out. Those people that never knew this stuff existed before, and seeing them just come to life again.
Yeah. Yeah. You mentioned your injury was suffered with a snowboard. And I can imagine a lot of folks dealing with the same type of thing think my life of competition is over and my life at competitive sports is done. But not true. Sounds like you've got some amazing opportunities. This is really cool.
Yeah, and Triumph does sports all year long. And
cool.
This is actually, one of our sports festivals. We do one in here in Santa Clarita every April, and then we do another one at the Rose Bowl in November. So there'll be another one coming. If there's anybody out there that's bummed they missed this one, they can obviously come to the one in November or wait till next year. But in addition, Matt, we have wheelchair sports clinics that we do on the regular. So even tomorrow, we just partner with the city of Los Angeles to develop their Play LA program, which is in kind of the lead up to the Olympics coming here to Los Angeles in 2028.
Yeah.
And so we're doing a wheelchair tennis class for kids. That'll be at Lakeview Terrace gym, so it's not too far away from here. If there's any kids out there that want to come out and play some tennis with us, we do archery with them. We also do basketball, sitting volleyball, all sorts of activities that are specifically focused on kids. And then for the broader community, we have a hand cycling ride coming up in a few short weeks. We have a fleet of hand cycles in all shapes and sizes. And so whatever your ability might be, we'll find a way to get you out on the trail and go cruise around. And all of our stuff is really introductory. So you don't need to be a superhuman to be an athlete with us. It's just, hey, we're just going to go for a cruise. We're going to practice, we're going to do some games, not where you have to have your own equipment or know what you're doing. In fact, most people that come out are a lot of times first timers and are just getting turned on to an activity. And then if they love it, they can pursue it further. They can go into it competitively. They can get their own equipment. And, so there's for anybody out there, they're welcome to come.
That's great because, wheelchair or not, that can be intimidating, right? Folks might be thinking, I've seen on TV wheelchair basketball. That looks fun, but I've never done it before. Maybe I shouldn't. Well, no. You've never done it before, so you should. And then if it is your thing, then you get them plugged into a little bit more of a competitive group.
Yeah, we say we're a gateway to gold organization, right?
Nice.
So we're going to give people that first chance to try things out. And if they love it, they can pursue it further. And a lot of friends that come out, maybe don't have a disability or they don't identify as a person with a disability, but they find a lot of joy in what we do because it knocks down some of the barriers. I mean, I have friends that love coming to our cycling events because maybe they weren't as able as they used to be, and riding a regular bicycle is a struggle, whether they're balance issues or strength issues. But sitting on a hand cycle, they're much more independent. They feel much safer, and they can still get that joy of seeing the wind blow through their hair and having that good time. And so it doesn't matter, like I said, who you are, whether you have a disability or not, you are welcome at our sports clinics and our activities. We just want to get everybody included.
You and your team are doing beautiful work, but it's not cheap. You guys have some serious expenses, and those needs have to get met. And so I know you've got a fundraiser coming up this summer, and I'm sure folks listening to your story and all the different services you provide are well inspired. Folks, you got to put that inspiration to action. Tell us about your fundraiser in July.
Yeah, at the end of the day, everything we do is free, and that still doesn't mean
free
it's
for your clients,
us.
not free for you. Yeah.
And so Triumph's hosting our gala on Friday, July 12th. And so save the date. Everybody listening out there, circle that on your calendar. We'd love to have you come out. You'll have a wonderful time. We'll have dinner, dancing, obviously a presentation kind of showcasing what we do, but bringing people together that are like-minded, that want to help other people. And again, we specialize in kind of serving people dealing with paralysis, but ultimately it's everybody's included with our organization. And as we've grown, the demand has grown, and we're just trying to keep up with that demand, and that takes dollars.
Yeah.
And so if there's anybody out there that wants to buy a ticket, that would be wonderful. We're looking for event sponsors. You can get a table, be part of this. It's something special. We used to host it here in Santa Clarita. We kind of outgrew some of the spaces, so now it's held
That's
at
good to know.
the Universal City Hilton. So it's not too far away. And
Yeah.
you can come out, you can get dressed up and have a night out in town, bring a date, bring some friends, and you'll come away inspired, feel like you're part of something special. And at the end of the day, we're grassroots. We're boots on the ground, wheels on the ground. We're doing the work. We're not just a heavy, top-sided organization. When the money you give to us, it has real return on investment. So you'll see the difference that your dollars can make.
Fantastic. So the Triumph Foundation Gala is on Friday, July 12th at the Universal City Hilton. How do folks get tickets?
So just go to supporttriumph.org. You can find lots of information on our website about the event. We'd love to have people attend. We're growing. We need people to come behind us. And again, you'll really see the value in what we do.
Okay. So you mentioned before you work with folks of all ages. You do have some programs geared specifically towards kids. Can you talk to us about the kids programs you have?
Yeah, so obviously I got love for everyone, but kids have a special place in my heart. And so, kids that are out there that might be listening, we want to get you out to play. And we want to introduce you to not only the activities, but to other families that are going through the same things. And so, again, it doesn't matter what type of disability you have, you're welcome to come out. The Play LA program is, just about every week going forward for the next 2 or 3 months.
Great.
And you can find more information on our website or our event calendar. But please know that you have a place that you can come and bring your family to. And a lot of times the best part is it's not just the kid that maybe has a disability, but they have brothers or sisters or friends and they want to come too. They all get to play. And that's the same thing. It's all inclusive. We provide all the equipment. Just show up. We'll get them in the games. We'll teach them how to play. We have awesome coaches. A lot of them are Paralympians that coach too, so they can show the kids not only the fundamentals, but also show them the journey ahead should they want to pursue something and hopefully one day represent the United States of America with a gold medal around their neck.
That is so cool. So we mentioned you've got all these different sports and activities that are for everybody. You're fully inclusive, that folks can get involved in. You've got your gala coming up on July 12th. What about folks that are thinking, no, I want to roll up my sleeves and really get involved? You've got volunteer opportunities?
Absolutely. So volunteers are the lifeblood of our organization. If there's anybody interested in coming out to help, we'd love that. We're actually hiring right now, Matt, too. So I'm looking to hire someone as our operations coordinator, someone to help work the office. At the end of the day, we have a small staff of around 8, and we need more. We need more help. Our office is local here in Santa Clarita over in the Industrial Center, so in Valencia, so not too far away. If there's someone out there that's got some great computer skills, is willing to take on tasks, we'd love to talk to you about ways that you can join our forces and, again, live a life of purpose and of meaning and helping people of all walks of life overcome challenges and be resilient and triumph.
Very cool. And so would folks just go to your website to apply for that job? Yeah,
so that's the easiest way. You can shoot us an email and say, hey, I'm interested. We can send you the ad and talk to you about how to apply and go through the interview process. But yeah, we're desperate right now. We need more help, whether it's coming out to serve as a volunteer or inquire about job possibilities, or just come out and play. Come be part of our Triumph family. Again, you're welcome, you belong, and we'll find a way to put you to work and maximize your abilities.
Very cool. And again, the website is triumph-foundation.org if you're looking for that job or looking to volunteer. Is this also the same place someone would go to, they might be listening to the show sitting in the hospital next to someone who got injured yesterday. And so if they've got a friend or family member looking for support, do they just go to the website, or how do folks reach out?
Yeah, so obviously the website's a great place to start, but the phone number on there, you can give us a ring anytime. We're happy to, take people in as they come. And so my phone never stops ringing, and our website never stops dinging with emails from people that need support.
Good.
And we'll help you. And we'll speak candidly. At the end of the day, a lot of times when you're dealing with insurance and some of these bureaucratic organizations, they got to speak through a filter. And we're real people. We'll care for you. And again, we'll try to help be a problem solver to help guide your path.
Fantastic. Again, the website is triumph-foundation.org. If you or a loved one has mobility issues and needs some support, whether it's the physical support, coaching, or just getting involved in fencing or playing rugby again. I absolutely love that. That is so cool. Just go ahead and check them out. And, if this is something that you're passionate about, like Andrew is, volunteer, get on their website, volunteer, or just join them on July 12th, their gala down there in Universal City.
It's going to be awesome. You don't want to miss it.
Absolutely. Andrew, I want to thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again real soon.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you.
Coming up
Jerry.
next, my goofball big brother. Mom makes me put him on the show every week because I'm not allowed to have nice things of my own. Andrew, it's an absolute train wreck, but like a good train wreck, you're not going to want to look away. You stay tuned. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I am Matt Watson, and this is your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and now it is time for Big T's 5 Minutes of Fame. Y'all know Big T. Big T is a longtime resident and leader in the Santa Clarita Valley. He's an executive and a philanthropist. He's an amazing father, husband, and community leader. Well, normally at this part of the show, I take the opportunity to rip on my big brother a little bit, but today I'm actually going to give him a chance to pop his chest a little bit. Tony is the proud father of 23-year-old Scott Watson, who just accomplished...
Maddie, careful.
I got to back off of that?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll just say that Tony's a proud papa, and we can't say much more about it. Big T, you are Mom's favorite. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm a proud papa of Scott and Hannah, and they both had a pretty good last couple of weeks. So let's leave it at that.
Okay. Yeah. Your kids are tearing it up all over the world, as a matter of fact. But we won't go into that. Hey, Big T, we've got Mother's Day coming up this weekend. Are you all prepared for Mother's Day?
Yes, sir.
All right, good deal. And you're celebrating a couple of special moms. Can you talk about?
There's several moms. Certainly got something that I sent to both Mom and to Susie, and then we have reservations at a winery for Mother's Day brunch with Eric and I, Bill and Amparo.
Fantastic. Your in-laws are staying with you. Where is your mother-in-law right now, by the way?
She's right over there.
All right. Hey, Amparo. Hey, Big T, we got Engineer Andrew in the house. We're ready to go.
Good morning.
Morning, Andrew.
And he and Jen and I are gonna play. Have you got some Mother's Day trivia for us, or are we doing potpourri?
We're doing potpourri. Not a lot of fun Mother's Day trivia unless you go through movies and things like that. But we got a little bit of potpourri, a little bit of 90s, a little bit of music. But can I kick it off with a little bit of a fun fact?
Absolutely.
So you open the show every single week with your first drink at Starbucks. Did you know that there's a Starbucks located in the CIA headquarters in Langley, Virginia?
We've got to keep those guys on their toes.
Hey, it's affectionately referred to as Starbucks Store Number 1, and baristas go through a rigorous background check, and they're not allowed to bring their cell phones into work with them. In fact, it's the only Starbucks that they don't ask your name.
So when the hot grande comes out and they say, I got a hot coffee for somebody?
Yeah, guy with the glasses.
Right.
Yeah.
Guy with the glasses.
Balding guy in the corner.
See, and I would imagine that's the case, Matt, and that's why you and I can't work there, because we'd be like, got a latte for the guy with the fake mustache?
Yeah.
Yep, there we go. That is funny. All right.
All righty, let's get rolling.
Let's do it.
We'll go with a little bit of 90s pop trivia. What 90s girl group is the best-selling group of all time? Best-selling girl group of all time. Is that Andrew?
Yeah, the Spice Girls.
Spice Girls is correct. Andrew knows his girl groups.
Yes, I do.
So do you know all the
And
Spice
he's proud
Girls?
of that.
Can you name all the Spice Girls?
Let's go. Okay, Ginger, Baby, Posh, Scary, Sporty,
and Paprika.
Holy
yeah.
You got it.
Paprika, that's a
another point.
beautiful
Boom.
name for a little girl.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
that's 5 extra points,
Yep.
please.
Which 90s boy band is the best-selling boy band of all time?
Jen.
Andrew.
Frogger, then Jen.
Is it NSYNC?
Incorrect, Jen.
Backstreet Boys.
Backstreet Boys is correct.
Hey, Tony, do you remember the group Boys in the Sink?
No.
That was a VeggieTales one. They had their famous hit, "Honey, I Gotta Tell You Something. I Ain't Got No Belly Button."
The only song the song I liked from VeggieTales was the SUV.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that you knew anything about VeggieTales. I'm learning something new.
No,
yeah.
Tony
and
does
that
like
Andrew
to...
knows the Spice Girls.
Alrighty, VeggieTales, y'all.
That's
check them
funny.
out.
No more Bob Tomato. Who was the president of the United States for the majority of the 90s?
Frogger. William Jefferson Clinton.
That is Bill Clinton, correct.
Name. All right.
Who sang the song "I Will Always Love You" from the 1992 film The Bodyguard?
Ooh.
Jen first.
Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston's correct.
So who originally wrote and recorded that song?
Dolly Parton.
Boom, another one for Jen. I'm giving you guys too many points on the extra credit.
So thanks for stealing my next question.
Dolly Parton.
Who is Dolly Parton?
There we go.
All right. So the closest, you each get an answer on this, and the closest actually wins. What was the federal
24.3.
minimum wage in 1990?
Andrew.
Andrew, what's yours?
$4.50.
$4.50, Matt, yours?
That's pretty good. You said 1990?
Yes.
1990. I'm going to go 425.
All right, Jen?
I'll say 405.
It was $3.80. Jen gets the point.
Oh, wow. Was it $3.80?
Yes, it was.
I remember, so I started working in 1988, and it was $3.65, and I think it went up to $3.85, but it stayed at $3.65 for me because I was a tipped employee.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
What 1999 Emmy-winning TV show followed a New Jersey boss man, or mob man,
Jen.
and is still regarded Jen?
Sopranos.
Sopranos is correct.
Wow.
Who played Batman in the 1992 film Batman
Jen.
Returns?
Andrew.
Jen.
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton's correct. What was the name of the first clone mammal ever to be
Andrew.
created by a human? Andrew.
That would be Dolly the sheep.
Good pull. Nice job.
Oh,
What does the abbreviation AOL stand for?
Frogger.
Frogger.
That's America Online.
You still have your account, Maddie?
That he's logged into right now.
It took a long time to plan a vacation when you had to wait a while to download those pictures to see what the spot looks like. Who voices Buzz Lightyear and Woody in the 1995
Jen.
film Toy Story? Was that Jen first or Andrew?
I think it was Frogger.
I thought it was Frogger first.
Okay, Frogger, go for it.
Alrighty, I'll take it because you guys are kicking my butt right now. All right, so Buzz Lightyear was Tim Allen, and Woody was Tom Hanks.
Good pull. Good pull. What's the butler's name in the 1990s TV show The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Andrew.
Andrew.
That would be Jeffrey.
Ah, yeah.
Jeffrey's correct. Right. In 1992, the largest mall in the U.S. opened in what state?
Frogger.
Andrew.
Frogger?
Is it Minnesota?
Minnesota's correct. What communication device were an unbelievable 61 million people using in 1994 that is now obsolete?
Jen.
Andrew.
Jen.
Beeper.
Beepers is correct.
Oh.
In 1989, what Pacific Northwest rapper released the song Beepers?
Frogger.
He is very excited. Have you had several coffees
Well,
today?
I was just singing it. that was Sir Mix-a-Lot.
It was Sir Mix-a-Lot. Sorry, Jen. Sorry, Andrew. That one was thrown out there for Frogger.
Yeah.
I didn't
Right.
get that excited.
I
Because you
enjoy
know how
his
Frogger
excitement.
rolls in. Yeah. Well, you know me. I walk into a party looking like a joker. A big old
God.
square garage door opener.
Your nephew loves that song.
Oh my gosh.
See, that was the story I was going to ask you to tell. Is Scotty loving the song "Beepers" by Sir Mix-a-Lot?
Perfect. In the 90s, the Star 69 feature on a landline did what?
Frogger.
Frogger.
It called the person back.
They called him right back. It was a good feature. Why'd you hang up on me?
I know.
All right. Name the. I'm gonna name a group, and I want you to name their lead singer. We're gonna go through a couple of them. Journey.
Jen.
Jen.
Steve Perry.
Steve Perry's correct. Nirvana.
Andrew.
Andrew.
Kurt Cobain.
Kurt Cobain is correct. Maroon 5.
Andrew.
I can
Andrew.
see his squirrely face.
The whole name. I know it's for
All the
Adam.
tattoos. Yes.
Can you give me a half for Adam?
Yes. That's half a point.
Adam Devine or Levine?
Adam Levine.
Levine.
Yeah, you
Adam
got
Levine, we'll give it to you.
Yeah.
I
We'll
can
give it to you.
see his squirrely face.
I mean, I know
Give him part of the Rat family.
he's a ladies' man, but not this one.
His face doesn't match his tattooed body. How about
Yes,
we leave it at
yes, like yeah, it does not compute.
that? Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Oh,
Frogger.
Frogger.
Was that John Fogerty?
That is correct.
nice.
Queen.
Frogger.
Say what?
Frogger.
Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury's correct. U2.
Jen.
Jen.
Bono.
Bono's correct.
There's a fun
It's a little
fun
old school.
story. Do you know
Yep,
the difference
yep.
between Bono and Jesus?
No.
Jesus doesn't walk around thinking he's Bono.
That's good. That's good. All right, Generation X.
Oh, Frogger.
Frogger.
Is that Billy Idol?
Billy Idol's correct.
Yeah.
Staying in the punk genre.
Some of these questions are just for Frogger.
Never even heard of that. Oh,
That was the group he was in
Yeah.
before he went solo.
I
Yeah.
didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah. The Sex Pistols.
Jen.
Jen?
I'm gonna flub it. Johnny something. I don't know. Pass. Johnny Danger. Johnny Rotten. Johnny Rotten. Johnny Rotten. There it is. Yes. Johnny Rotten.
We would have taken Sid Vicious too.
Sid Vicious. Okay.
The Who.
Frogger.
Frogger.
Roger Daltrey.
Roger Daltrey's correct. Led Zeppelin.
Jen.
Dan.
Robert Plant.
There we go.
Okay.
That is correct.
I came up with Jimmy Page, and I was like, you know who's loving these questions today, Tony, is your state senator, Scott Wilk. He's
I was
probably
just thinking the same thing. He's sitting there going, why don't they do this when I'm on the show?
right. Instead, they ask me what Frogger's favorite color is.
Yeah, and math questions.
There's part of him loving these questions, and then there's part of him just waiting for me to mess up, too.
Which you invariably do, yeah.
Every time he's on the show. Fleetwood Mac.
Jen.
Jen.
Stevie Nicks.
Stevie Nicks, yes. Pearl Jam.
Jen.
Jen.
Eddie Vedder.
That's correct.
Jen just rolled her eyes as if to say, don't waste my time.
Please.
A 90s kid.
The Doors.
Jen.
Okay.
Jen.
Jim Morrison.
I'm sorry?
Jim Morrison.
Jim Morrison's correct.
Did you drop
Rage
your phone?
Against the Machine. No.
Oh,
Rage Against the Machine.
yeah, I don't know that dude's name.
I don't know.
Anybody? Zach De La Rocha.
Zach.
The Rolling Stones.
Jen.
Okay.
Jen.
Mick Jagger.
Mick Jagger, yes.
Jen is
The
just
Smiths.
running away with it today.
It's all the music
Smiths.
stuff.
Yeah.
The Smiths. John Smith.
John.
Pocahontas.
Nope. Nothing.
Is it Robert?
Anybody?
Is it Robert Smith?
No, you're going to kick yourself. Morrissey.
Oh.
Okay.
Yep.
The Cure.
Frogger.
Frogger.
I don't know. Robert
Robert
Smith.
Smith.
There's the Smith. There's the Smith you're looking for.
We're getting there.
Parliament. Funkadelic.
Andrew. George Clinton.
Good pull.
Yeah,
Guns N' Roses.
Nice.
Andrew.
Andrew.
Axl Rose.
He said Axl Rose. I didn't hear the
Axl
band.
Rose is good.
So yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Aerosmith.
Andrew.
Oh.
Steven Tyler.
Perfect. Nice pull. The Pretenders.
Jen.
Jen.
Chrissy Hine.
Chrissy Hine, yes.
Man, she's
Hart.
dunking on us.
What
Heart.
was it? Oh, Hart.
Art.
Jen.
Go ahead.
Ann Wilson.
Frogger, you can make the judgment. You got Amy Wilson.
What is it?
Amy Wilson.
Amy Wilson? What did I?
It's Amy Wilson. I may be incorrect. You said Ann Wilson.
I thought it was Ann.
Yeah, it was your connection. She said Amy. She got it right.
Oh yeah.
But if Amy's wrong, does it?
Love it.
I said whatever was right.
Right. I said the right answer. That's what I said.
Ann, I believe.
Right. Black Sabbath.
Frogger.
Ozzy
Osbourne.
That's correct.
Yeah, what the band tastes like,
No doubt.
Andrew.
Oh.
Gwen Stefani.
Gwen Stefani, correct.
Be still my heart.
Jen.
Jen.
Courtney Love.
That's correct. The Grateful Dead.
Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's the guy with the
guy with the hair.
Andrew.
Yeah.
Andrew, go ahead.
Was it Jerry Garcia?
Yeah,
there we go.
There you go.
Jerry Garcia is correct.
From Ben and Jerry's, right?
Yes.
Yes, exactly. Last one, I named the singer Miami Sound Machine.
Frogger.
Andrew.
I got Frogger first.
Gloria Stefan.
That is correct.
We got time for one more question. You got one more question in the whole tee?
One more question.
All right.
Who's the CEO of Tesla?
Frogger.
Andrew.
Frogger.
Elon Musk.
All right, my beeper's going off.
All right, Sir Mix-a-Lot, you go answer that call. Gosh, Jen, you just absolutely delivered a beatdown today. 18 to 13 to 10.
Right,
you
I'll
absolutely killed it.
Nice.
Sometimes it pays to be a child of the 90s.
Yes.
All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. Big T, thanks for swinging by. We also want to thank our guests, Abbie Stirling with iLeadOnline. Check them out at iLeadOnline.org. Andrew Skinner, founder and executive director of Triumph Foundation. Producer Sarah, engineer Jen, engineer Andrew, and thank you for listening to the show. Remember, friends, life is hard, but we're all here to help each other along. Be well, do good, celebrate Mom. Don't wait to order those flowers. Don't wait to get that gift. And especially don't wait to get those cards. It'll be slim pickings on Saturday. Go out and take care of Mom now. Join us again next Friday and every Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.